T-minus 2 days and counting through the draft. And in that spirit, let's drop a Schrager bomb. Peter Schrager is here with D. Wood and Mike Tannenbaum this morning. Peter, drop something on us. What's the most interesting thing you can tell us 2 days before the draft?
Greeny, I've been sitting on my couch watching NBA, watching you guys, texting every GM and every coach, and I will tell you this, around the league, the Titans, they're not listening to trade offers. However, there have been phone calls made to both the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3 with the intention to move up from several different sources telling me there are teams who are looking to get up in this draft to either the 2 or the 3 spot. The assumption being to move up to the 2 or the 3 spot, it would be for Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or the running back, Ashton Genty, who everyone expects to go somewhere in that 5 to 7 to 8 range. There have been teams making calls, and those teams are not immediately slamming down the phone. The Browns at 2, the Giants at 3. Everyone assumes it's going to be chalk, that this is going to go Cam Ward, it's going to go Travis Hunter, it's going to go Abdul Carter. Not so fast. I think the 2 spot gets very interesting if the Browns are listening to a Godfather deal for them to trade back and someone to trade up into the top 3.
There's so many things about this that I find interesting, and one of them immediately, Mike T., the thing that I immediately go to is the Giants at 3. They're looking to get they most likely would like to get a quarterback, and they keep using the word value. I've heard Joe Schoen use the word value a million times. Maybe there isn't value in taking a quarterback at 3. Maybe you vacate 3, you accumulate a bunch of other picks of some sort, and you still get the quarterback that you want a little bit later down the road. That's what it sounds like to me. What does it sound like to you?
Greedy, I agree. And let's be clear about what Peter is saying. When you're talking about transformational trades like the Giants possibly to get a quarterback, those trades are agreed to today and tomorrow. They are executed on the clock. I made some big trades going up from Mark Sanchez, Darrelle Revis. Agreement and principles with the other team are made ahead of time. They're too important. They're too big. You need the head coach, the owner, and the GM on the same page. So if a big trade like Peter is saying actually happens, Greeny, I would expect very quietly that it's agreed to at some point today or tomorrow. And then by the time we get to Thursday night, it's simply executed. If I'm the Giants, I want to get a quarterback in the future. They didn't take one last year, went 6 one of the top 12. So if they could slide back and get a quarterback and get some extra picks, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it makes sense because maybe 3 is too high and you're worried about waiting until the second round. So you got to find some place in between. If you can do that and add picks, it would sound pretty good to me. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think if you're one of these teams that's looking to trade, in the whether it's a 2 or 3 spot, you're doing it because there's only a couple blue chip playmakers in this draft.
Yeah.
Most people would talk about, Carter, Travis Hunter, and then you talk about Ashton Genty. So I think when you look at this draft overall, obviously we've been talking about the quarterback position, but most of these prospects in this draft, particularly in the first round, these guys are high-end starters. We don't consider them blue chip type players. So if you're going to trade up, go trade up for the best. Go trade up for guys who are true difference makers in this draft.
Mike T., the price tag is something I'm interested in. We've become accustomed to seeing these high picks traded because teams are going up to get quarterbacks. There's a quarterback tax that exists in the NFL. If teams are going up ostensibly to get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, is the price tag the same?
Yeah, Hebo made a good point this morning when Houston went from 12 to 3 2 years ago, go get Will Anderson. They took Stroud and then Anderson. They still had to give up a future first-round pick. There were other pick swaps, but absolutely, there's still a massive premium in the top 3. And again, if I'm Cleveland or the Giants, everybody knows what we need to do, but those are great players. It's a premium to get up that high.
Put a little ribbon on it for me here.
Well, the feeling is that these teams need talent all over the roster, and there's a very few blue chips. If you're going chalk, it's, hey, just take Hunter, take Carter, and just move on. But when you start talking about multiple first-round picks in the future, and you start talking about multiple day 2 picks in this draft, both these teams have giant holes all over the roster. You have to listen to at least hear if there's a Godfather offer.
This is getting interestinger and interestinger as we work our way towards Green Bay, where we're headed today. Coming up as we roll on, will it be quarterback chaos in the first round? Could it be a very long night or even 2 for Shedeur Sanders? We dive into that as we continue. Plus, back to the basketball. The season hangs in the balance for Bron and the Lakers tonight. We'll give you the one thing they need to do if it's not going to be a quick exit in L.A. Damian Woody's leaning forward in his seat.
Over the Giants as time winds down is QB or not QB. Do they go with a quarterback at number 3, or do they go with the best available talent? If it's any indicator at all, the G-men worked out 3 QBs, including Colorado Shedeur Sanders, last week. Despite that, it still feels like the decision that's to be made by head coach Brian Daboll and GM Joe Schoen, that they're on 2 different pages. Take a listen.
Process has been excellent every year. There's really good communication, and not just with the quarterbacks, with each position. It's okay to disagree. You're not going to be disagreeable. And everybody has thoughts and opinions of what they evaluate and what they see. There's very professional, conversations that we have. And we're all trying to do the same thing, is trying to improve our football team. And then at the end of the day, we'll have a conversation and, pick the player we think will best be suited for the New York Giants.
We now welcome in our NFL analyst and former GM, Mike Tannenbaum. And Mike T, you've been in multiple draft rooms in your career. What do you make of what Brian Daboll had to say right there? Yeah, Amina, he's clearly trying to dispel the notion that they're not on the same page. I worked with Brian Daboll for a number of years. He's really good. He's very thorough. But it's very unusual so late in the game for such a big decision, Amina, for them to go back out for private workouts. Private workouts are totally part of the plan, but to do it so late in the game when it's such a transformational decision is very unusual. So what would be the ideal draft plan for the Giants night 1? Well, if they could draft Abdul Carter, presumably Travis Hunter goes 2, and they could get the pass rusher from Penn State, that would be ideal. He's a blue chip player, complete difference maker, and then you go back to the bottom of the first round. Ideally, hopefully Shedeur Sanders falls. If he does, trade up for him. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, I think, has a chance to be a good starter. Tyler Shugg, despite being 25, is a really good prospect. And then Jalen Milroe, who a lot of people comp to Jalen Hurts, a little bit more of a developmental player. If they could get one of those 4 quarterbacks bootstrap with Abdul Carter, that would be a great night for the Giants. So many different possibilities with what the Giants could do at that number 3 pick. And I know if you're a Giants fan, you're looking for them to get a quarterback. You want them to get a franchise quarterback. However, obviously you talk about Abdul Carter, one of the best talents being there, also Travis Hunter as well being on the board too. Which way do you go if you are the Giants? Yeah, for those blue chip difference makers, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, clearly positionally the 2 best players in the draft. And then again, they need a little luck, but one of those 4 quarterbacks, Amina, should be there towards the bottom of the first round, trade back up, and now you get a great player, and hopefully from a Giants standpoint, you're a quarterback of the future. Yeah, with the Giants picking at 3, it's their 8th top 10 pick in the last 10 drafts, the most in the NFL in that span. More with Mike T in a bit. The draft just 2 days away. All right. All right, well, the NFL draft begins on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can catch that right here on ESPN and ABC.
Draft Insider is built by The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng, và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là cây cảnh. Mọi người, hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là cây hoa. Bây giờ mọi người làm nhé.
Kệ, lấy lên chụp ảnh, tạo nhiều kiểu vào, tạo tay nữa, thì là tự nhiên nó ngồi nó nghĩ được thôi.